guys, my name is Chelsea and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we're talking about my best books of 2020. Now, before I get started, I do want to say that I had a really tough time narrowing this list down. If you watched my 2020 stats video, you already know that I had 86 5-star books in 2020. It was almost half of my reading. So I was able to narrow down the list to about 20. I'm going to have some honorable mentions at the beginning that I just sort of go through very quickly, and then I think I'm going to talk about my top 15 just because I feel really bad narrowing it down to a top 10, but I had so many good reads in 2020. Now, I will also be doing a separate video for my top comics, graphic novels, and manga, so keep an eye out for that. That'll be coming up later this week after my worst books of 2020. I'm doing it all in 1 week, so you get all this content basically back to back to back. So keep an eye out for that. So these are just going to be novels, basically. So like I said, I have 20 books here. I'm going to do 5 honorable mentions first, and I'm just going to quickly speed through. Those ones are in no particular order because I literally could not figure out how to rank them. So basically I have those in alphabetical order for you here. So for honorable mentions, Wicked Fox by Kat Cho, Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall, Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa, A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer, and Horrid by Katrina Leno. Now keep in mind, those honorable mentions are still 5 stars. I still had more 5 stars, but now we're gonna get into the top 15. I am gonna be going from 15, counting down to 1, which will be my top book of 2020. Okay, so in spot number 15, I have Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade. I really wanted to put this one higher on the list, but I just have so many good books, and everything is very minutely spaced apart from each other. So like book 14 and book 15 are very close together. I just had a really good reading year, but this is a romance, an adult romance that I read in December that I absolutely loved. We have 2 main characters here, obviously. One is April, who is plus-sized, she is fat, and then we also have Marcus. They are both very entrenched in fandom culture. They write fan fiction. Marcus is actually the main actor on the TV show that the fandom stuff is based on. It's sort of like Greek mythology meets Game of Thrones, and I just absolutely loved them. They are older protagonists. I do want to say in my December wrap-up, I think I said that she's in her late 20s and he's in his early 30s. She's actually in her late 30s and he's in his early 40s. So they're even older than I, for whatever reason, remembered. But I still really loved the representation here. I loved the fact that she was so comfortable in her body from the get-go. That does not mean that she doesn't question certain things that people say to her or intentions or anything like that, but she's not having to learn how to be comfortable in her body. Marcus also has dyslexia, which I thought was a very good aspect to have in here. They just felt so real. And because they are on the older side, I didn't feel like we had too much miscommunication or anything like that. This was just a really fun one to read, especially in December as we were getting through the holidays and everything like that. Ugh, I just absolutely love this one, and I definitely need to pick up more work by Olivia Dade. Number 14 is going to be Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. I actually read 2 Riley Sager books in 2020, and this one took the cake. This is a semi-haunted house, is it paranormal, is it not paranormal type of story. He has his signature writing style of present day and in the past, but in this book, the past is actually a book that our main character Maggie's father wrote of their house saying it was haunted. So almost like an Amityville horror type of situation. And after he passes away, she inherits the house and goes back to try to figure out exactly what happened when she was younger because she does not remember. I just really enjoyed this one. It had so many reveals at the end that I did not see it coming by the end of the story, and it was just such a fun, wild ride. I loved the fact that it was, is it paranormal, is it not paranormal? Like, you really don't know what you're getting into. This is also a like mystery thriller that I feel fits a little bit better for fans of horror because it does have a little bit more of like the suspense and those kind of elements than I sometimes get personally from just strict mystery or thrillers. For number 13, I have technically the entire Darker Shade of Magic series by V.E. Schwab. I read all 3 books back to back to back earlier this year and really enjoyed this story. I think because I read it so early in the year, that's why these aren't a little bit higher on the list. I just had so many other good books come in after, you know, COVID quarantine started that I absolutely loved. But this was such a good introduction to V.E. Schwab's writing. This is the first series that I read by her, and I just loved the magic system. I loved our characters, especially in books like 2 and 3 when we actually get more of Rye and Alucard and that kind of stuff. I love Kel and Lila still, but like I just loved the dynamics of all the characters together, and I'm very excited for the like second half of the series. Like we're gonna have another trilogy. I don't think they follow Lila and Kel, so I'm curious to see about that. I just really love the writing style and the characters, and so yes, I had to put it on the list. In spot number 12, we have Well Met by Jen DeLuca. This is another adult romance that I absolutely loved. This one has to do with Renaissance fairs. So basically we follow our main character of Emily, who gets roped into working at a Renaissance fair with her niece, and then Simon is the like co-host of the Renaissance fair. They sort of get roped into a fake dating situation in the fair, like their characters are dating each other, and it just turns into more from there. I absolutely love this one. Like Simon as a character is like my perfect romantic love interest. I absolutely loved him. I loved Emily too, but I'm very partial to Simon, and so this was so good. I love the writing style. I loved that we had more development of feelings and romance before we actually got to the sex scenes. That's just a personal thing for me. But yes, absolutely love this. I own the second one that I have not read yet, but I'm very excited to get to it. Number 11, we have Every Heart a Doorway by Seanan McGuire. This is a novella. I'm a little surprised to actually have a couple novellas on this list. In the past, I had never really thought that I was a novella person, and I think it just depends on what novellas I read. I do love long stories and well-developed characters and world building and plot, and we got all of that in a little book. Like, this is less than 200 pages. Yeah, like 173. This has a world where kids, because I think they're all teenagers or less, go through portals to other worlds, and then when they come back, they can go to this like boarding school to sort of help them acclimate to society. Their parents don't believe them. They don't think that this was something that actually happened, but all the kids and the teachers that go here know that portal realities are real, and this was just such a good book. It does get very dark. There is a like tragedy that happens while our main character of Nancy is at the school. But one of the things that I really loved was Nancy. I loved her being new at the school and us learning about this world through her eyes because she didn't know about all these other kids that had been living at the school for a while. She's also asexual, which I just thought we need more books with asexual representation, and I really enjoyed this one. I have the second, and I actually think I have all of them except for the new one on ebook as well, so I definitely want to pick up more in 2021. Number 10 is going to be All Systems Red by Martha Wells, another novella already. This one is sci-fi based, and I am a fiend for sci-fi, so I was so excited for this. This is the first book in the Murderbot Diaries because it does follow our main character of Murderbot, who is sort of like an AI robot, but does have some sort of like humanoid organic material as well. So I can't remember for the life of me exactly what Murderbot called themselves, but they are a sort of like guard. They are on a planet protecting a team of scientists while they're studying the planet, but they have also like hacked into their governing module, so they don't have to follow orders necessarily. And so I just love Murderbot as a person because they definitely have a complete personality of their own. They are very sarcastic and funny, and I loved the fact that they're sort of a loner, and they also try to get along with these scientists. Again, a novella that had really good character development and some world building that I'm hoping actually we get a little bit more of in the subsequent books. This is another whole novella series that I have basically all of them on ebook. I do know book 4 or 5 I think is a novel as well, and I'm very curious about that. So this is another one that I want to read more of in this next year. Number 9 is the only middle grade on this list this year because I did not read as much as I want to. I'm hoping to read more in this next year, but we have Keeper of the Lost Cities by Shannon Messenger. First of all, I just want to thank Allie from Read by Allie for recommending this to me because I love it. I actually have books 2 and 3 that were presents from Ashley at Bookish Realm and Allie from Read by Allie, and I want to read them both in this next year because I absolutely love this one. This book follows our main character of Sophie, who finds out that she's not exactly human, she is an elf. She also has telepathic abilities, and the world here, the fact that she has such a big friend group that she grows into over this book, I'm loving. I love the character dynamics. I love the fact that she gets completely uprooted basically from her life. She's like, I think 11 in this book, but she never stops asking questions. She never just assumes that the adults know what's going on. I loved her so much. She is such a good character. The ending did end a little bit quickly for me, which is why this is not higher on the list because I really loved this, but I'm very excited to read more. Number 8 is going to be The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. This I think also could be paired with The Dragon Republic. However, out of those two, this is my favorite. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. This is also a book that I would not normally say I would like if you actually told me what this was about. This follows our main character of Rin as she escapes her life of being basically adopted but abused by her adopters. She doesn't want to get married off, and so she ends up testing into a very elite like military academy school, and I just really loved the way that this was written. I loved her as a character. I love the fact that this is so easily accessible in the writing style. They curse, they say fuck all the time. It was just, it feels written more modern day. However, it does have the Chinese history elements in here. It is a fantasy, but it is based in real life. One thing I will say about this is it does have a plethora of trigger warnings because they're going to a military school, but eventually it does turn into a war, the Poppy War, and so we definitely have murder and mutilation and rape and killings of animals and babies and bombs, and like, there is so much that, again, I'm not the biggest war person or politics person in my reading, but I loved this one so much. I still have not read the 3rd book yet. I've been putting it off. I need to stop that, but I really enjoyed this one. Guess what I forgot? I forgot to tell you guys number 7 for some reason. Number 7 is going to be Dragon Age Tevinter Nights, edited by Patrick Weeks. This is a short story collection based on Dragon Age. I have talked about this a few times on my channel, and I absolutely love Dragon Age, Mass Effect, BioWare, that kind of stuff. And this is a, like I said, a short story collection that takes place in between Dragon Age Inquisition and the new Dragon Age game that will be coming out eventually. Who knows when. This is like my absolute favorite short story collection. Some of the stories were like freaking amazing, and there was a couple of them that I didn't like as much, but the pluses definitely outweigh the minuses for me. We get a lot more of a look into some of the lore, especially like the elvish and god-like lore that we get a little bit of in Dragon Age Inquisition. I am super excited and super anticipating the new game, and I definitely want to reread this collection. It was so well done. Especially like the last story. I mean, there's other ones for sure, but like the reveals in the last story were freaking amazing. And I know this is definitely one of the books on this list that like probably not as many of my viewers can really get into, because you sort of have to have some knowledge of the Dragon Age universe in order to read this, but it's freaking amazing. I had to include it on this list. Number 6 is Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. This is another new adult romance that, again, I absolutely loved. I actually read this basically in one sitting. One day for sure. I think I read like the first 20, 30, 40 pages, and then I got in bed later that night and finished the entire thing. I absolutely love this one. This is such a good book for character development. Our main character of Chloe is chronically ill, so we have that representation as well, but she's also very snarky. And Red, who is the guy here, is her like superintendent of her building, and I just love the fact that they go from almost like, not exactly enemies, but sort of confrontational. They're very sarcastic with each other, and then eventually make their way into that romance. It was just so good. I devoured this, like literally one sitting, devoured it. It definitely deserves to be higher on this list, but I had a lot of feelings about some of the other ones as well, so that's why it's here. But this was so good, and I've heard even better things about Take a Hint, Danny Brown, the second one in this. So yeah, I definitely need to pick that up. Getting into the top 5. Book number 5 is Strangelove by Anne Aguirre. This is like a self-published book from her, even though she does do traditionally published books as well. And this is a sci-fi romance that I absolutely loved. It gives me a lot of like Mass Effect vibes, especially in like the romance, because we have our woman who is a human, but then our guy is an alien. And he is not like a handsome humanoid alien. He has like hard insectile plates. It's just, I love aliens, especially if they're not like humanoid. Like I want that extra. And basically he accidentally kidnaps her from Earth thinking she was a different alien species and takes her to his home planet where they go through like a Hunger Games of mating rituals to like determine if they're actually able to get together and get married and all this kind of stuff. And I absolutely loved it. They have amazing sex scenes. It is a male-female romance. However, it is not typical in the sex scenes, and it was just so well thought out and well done. I absolutely loved that. It also has a talking dog, which literally the first time he talks made me laugh out loud for at least 10-15 minutes in bed. Like my husband, if we wanted to ask him to like clarify, he knows. I was dying laughing, couldn't catch my breath. It was so good. One thing I will say about this is the ending of it, again, let me down just a little bit because it wasn't going where I thought it was going to go, but overall, amazing. Like I really want to reread this. We're also getting the second book sometime in January, I think near the end of January. I already pre-ordered it. I'm so excited for the second book in this series. Number 4, I'm cheating a little bit because I literally could not decide. I have Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare and The Lost Book of the White by Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu. I did Shadowhunter in September and read every single Shadowhunters book. These are the two that came out in 2020 and I think might have been my favorite books of that month because a lot of them were rereads. The Dark Artifices series, most of that was not a reread. However, those are not my favorite books in the world. They were still great, but they're not my favorite. These, though, are definitely new favorites. So Chain of Gold is the first book in the Last Hours series that follows children from the Infernal Devices series, and this one is a thick old chunky boy, but I absolutely loved it. They're having to deal with new demons, things that they have never seen before. There's also a ton of romantic entanglements in here. Like we have more than love triangles. It's ridiculous. I have no idea what we're going to be getting into in the second book here because there's just so much drama that we could get into. I absolutely love this one. I think I might have to reread it before the next one comes out in March. And then The Lost Book of the White. I absolutely love this Alec Magnus series. I think it's going to be a trilogy with this third book coming out this year, possibly. But I love the duo between Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu. The writing style does feel a little bit more elevated, a little bit more adult, and I do think that's probably Wesley Chu's writing with it because there is a little bit of a difference, especially with like between this one and Chain of Gold. You can just sort of tell, but the character and the characterization is still so spot on. The world building is amazing. This one takes place mostly in Shanghai, and so we deal a lot with Chinese mythology, Chinese demons, Chinese like afterworlds. Again, I absolutely loved this one. I loved this so much, especially since we follow basically the whole gang from the Mortal Instruments. But this one takes place basically right after like the Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy short story collection, which takes place after book 6 in the Mortal Instruments. So this is like our go-between between that series and the Dark Artifices, and I just love the fact that everybody's older. It's so good. I definitely need the third one in this series, which I think is coming out sometime later this year, or at least I really hope it is. Oh my gosh, top 3. Okay. Number 3, I'll Be the One by Lila Lee. This one is so good. I definitely need more people to read this because I did like an Instagram story near the end of 2020 or at the very beginning of 2021 that was basically just recapping like my favorite books of the month. So again, not all those books are on this list. Some are duplicates from certain months. But I don't think I had hardly anybody actually say that they read this book. And what are you guys doing? This was so good. We follow our main character of Sky, who is plus-sized, fat, and she is entering a K-pop competition for singing and dancing, and she is bisexual. We have other side characters that are bisexual and other ones that are lesbian, so we have a lot of representation in here, but I just loved her. She was such a good character. I love that nothing really gets her down, especially since she is dealing with fat phobia from some of the judges in the K-pop competition, but also dealing with it with her mother. So be aware that there are some trigger warning stuff in here, but I definitely teared up multiple times in this book. It just really hit me hard. And I loved this though. It's such a quick, good read, even though it does have some hard topics. So good. Book number 2. This might be a little bit of a surprise to some people because I could not shut up about this in 2020. And I mean, you might be surprised that it's not my number 1 book, but number 2 is still a really good spot. And that's going to be The Space Between Worlds by Micaiah Johnson. This is a standalone adult sci-fi that deals with multiverses. This is a debut author. I absolutely loved her book. The writing style was super accessible but also very poetic, and the fact that we're dealing with multiverses and that you can only travel to multiverses if you're dead in that multiverse already was just like, oh, it was so good. This deals a lot with like classism because a lot of the people that can travel to the other multiverses are able to do so because in the other worlds they didn't live, and a lot of it has to do with where they grew up in those worlds and how much money they had and if they got diseases or that kind of stuff. And so we definitely have a lot of stuff dealing with that. It's a very hard book. We have some body horror in here. We have some, I believe there is actual like mentions of rape, if not at least abuse and possibly sexual abuse. We have characters that are bi and black and Asian and NB, and the thing about representation for me is I absolutely love it, especially in sci-fi books where it is just taken at face value. We are in a sci-fi setting, we are in a futuristic setting, and I don't want characters to have to fight to be seen because of their race or sexuality or anything like that. And yes, the classism especially still definitely exists in this story, but the LGBTQ aspects of it are just taken at face value. You are what you are. We don't have to fight over that or belittle people because of that, and I just love that so much. And then book number 1. I'm sure some people can probably guess this just because I mentioned loving this book a couple times this year, and obviously you have not seen it yet, but Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. This is a YA book with a trans main character who is trying to prove to his family that he is a brujo, and he ends up wrapped up into like a mystery that has ghosts. In this world, his family actually can see ghosts, so like it's not anything different that way, but he was expecting to find the ghost of his cousin because they know that something happened to him, but he ends up finding the ghost of Julian, and it's so well done. This is another one that I definitely teared up multiple times. It is very emotionally dense. We have our main character of Yadriel, who, like I said, is trans, and so there are instances of dead naming and misgendering in here from family members because they don't sort of accept him for who he is, and so could definitely be very triggering, but I loved the conversations that we had here. I loved the actual story. I loved our characters so much. Aiden Thomas is basically an auto-buy author now. I cannot wait for Lost in the Neverwoods that's coming out in March, I think. I'm just so excited. And yes, it dethroned The Space Between Worlds for me, even though I think I read that one in like July and could not stop talking about it throughout 2020. This book, and I got the pretty Barnes & Noble edition, and I'm just so happy with this book. I think this is definitely one that I'm going to want to read again when the fall, October season comes around. Books that have a big emotional impact are really what gets me. So yes, this for sure, #1. And then those are my top 15 technically. If you've read any of these ones, definitely let me know. If you haven't, but I'm somehow convincing you to read them, let me know which ones you're interested in. Otherwise, if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up to let me know. Subscribe to this channel if you would like to see more videos. I do have videos up Mondays, Thursdays, and sometimes Saturdays, so I will see you then. Bye!